AA Talk Stuff, Anthony and Alex. Best podcast in the business, the one that everybody's talking about, the podcast that, all demographics are just a huge fan of. Back again, episode 19?
Nope.
20?
Nope.
21?
Nope.
22?
This would be episode 22.
Hey, yo, episode 22. We've been running weekly for 22 weeks. Name me another podcast that is able to do that. I don't think you'll be able to find one. The success
everyone.
Nope, no one else. The success.
Also, it hasn't been 22 weeks because we started doing 2 episodes a week.
But the listeners don't know that.
I hope they do.
The success has been immeasurable. The trajectories that we are on it's just insane. A lot of things happening this week. We've got UFC this weekend. Conor McGregor makes his return to fight Khabib. I know Alex is excited for that because he hates Conor McGregor. Just kidding. We got Super Showdown this week for WWE. Basketball preseason is kicked off. Baseball playoffs are starting. NHL regular season is starting. NFL is past the quarter mark, so we've got some telling things there. But yeah, we're just going to talk some stuff and go from there. Alex, you got any stuff you want to talk about?
Do you follow Bleacher Report on Twitter?
Yes,
only
because they're on our Twitter.
You only mentioned...
Everybody go to that Twitter. Sorry, go ahead.
To that Twitter. Wow, okay.
I do it because of you. When you do our outros and you're like, go to the Twitter.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But I find it funny.
No, they do those Gridiron Heights. Have you ever watched any of the Gridiron Heights?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did you see the new one that just came out today for like the first quarter of the season or whatever? Oh, it's awesome. You have to watch.
It's good.
Yeah, you have to watch it. It's like QB focused or whatever.
Nice.
It's good stuff. Definitely give that a watch.
I'll hit on Twitter and go through.
I don't know. A lot's happening this week. I mean, it's weird that first offhand, I was just like, oh, Super Showdown. I kind of had forgotten about it, but then I was like, because I didn't know what the timing was with that and the Crown Jewels or whatever.
Right.
And so,
well, much to, as you mentioned,
I was like, oh,
offline,
it's on Saturday.
Yep, it's on Saturday. But much to your point, as you mentioned offline when we were talking, it's like a glorified house show. It's just that it's in Australia.
I guess, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like...
Does a belt change hands? Maybe? Like, maybe does Samoa Joe beat AJ?
Just an exhibition, right? Like, it's just...
Right. They just brought Undertaker to...
That's okay, so I'm going to go into this a little bit. Why do we need to just do the exhibitions? Why can't we have real pay-per-views in other
those countries? Yeah, I don't get it. Why not? Give me a pay-per-view. We have pay-per-views we're having SummerSlam in Toronto next year. Why can't we have a real pay-per-view in Australia or England? I
don't get it either. It's like, I understand they're just trying to cater to the timing of the US because they think, I understood that when it was pay-per-view and you got paid per view.
Oh, that's what it means.
And timing in the US mattered because US is your biggest base. You own your own network. I don't know why you're like timing yourself. It's
whatever
like
the hell you want.
Exactly. You don't have to time yourself. You can do, you could run wherever you want to run. I don't like, and people can watch it whenever, and it still counts as like a stream for you. It doesn't matter when they necessarily watch it.
Yes.
I mean, New Japan gets run over here, and people
they do.
And you have to watch it in like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning to even watch that thing. So and
as people
it's
who
not a big deal.
You and I are very nostalgic when it comes to wrestling, and I'm always thinking of that SummerSlam in Wembley, and that was one of the coolest things ever. And like, there's just so many cool moments and things you could have, and why not have like a pay-per-view there? And yeah, much to your point, like New Japan gets run over here. I'm either staying up till like 3, 4, 5 a.m. to watch it live, or I'm rewatching it like that next day when I get up. Like, it still gets play over here. It gets run over here.
Yeah, so what's the deal in England? It would be here at like 2 p.m. or something like that.
Yes, they're 6 hours ahead. It'd be like Champions League soccer.
It's fine. What's wrong? I enjoy that because then at the end, being on the East Coast, it's like every time one of the pay-per-views are over, or like one of the, even let's say a SummerSlam or WrestleMania,
I pass out.
it's fucking midnight. It's
Yeah.
like
And
1
I'm
a.m.
like, oh crap, I have to
Like,
get up in 6 hours for my
yeah, they're
job.
killing me. It's like
Yeah, you're
I
dying.
would I would love it if it was like, oh, it's 6 p.m. now. This is over. This is great. This is great.
What am I going to do with the rest of my night?
Exactly. I could still watch, like, especially if it's like say I don't know if they did it on a Sunday or Saturday or whatever, but if it's on a Sunday, it's like, oh, I could still watch, the late game
Yeah.
for like football or
See the
something.
primetime
Like
football
I
game,
don't
see what's
know.
going on.
Like, what are they really competing against? If you started at 2 p.m., what you say you're going to compete with football? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but you're mainly competing. The bulk of your main matches that like matter are competing with the 4 o'clock games. People don't really
Correct.
give a shit about the
And
4
once you
o'clock
start
games.
getting into bye weeks, there's usually only like 2 to 3, 4 o'clock
Exactly.
games, so you're not really
So
competing
people care about
against
the
much.
1 o'clock games. I mean, sorry, I'm talking about this all like East Coast timing, but like,
But if he was really scared about that in general, like there would be no Monday Night Raw because you're going up against Monday Night Football.
the thing is, you already have the money coming in every month. It's not, you don't have to compete.
Yeah, it's not like you're looking for actual views. Like if people are already paying for the network, they're
It's
just
like,
going to
oh,
watch it later.
yeah, I don't know if they're maybe. Hey, to their credit, maybe they're doing this as some sort of, they're doing a bunch of these as some sort of feeling out process to see what the streams are like on this, to see if it would be viable to run a pay-per-view there. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know.
Oh, it could be testing the waters down
Yeah.
under.
Maybe they are, which is fine. Like, okay, you know what, Super Showdown, you know what, that did pretty good. Maybe we can run a SummerSlam there or something. I mean, maybe.
Or maybe they can
But
just charge a boatload of money over there for all their tickets and do a house show, but bring in like a couple million.
because to me, it's like, I understand the rotating, the road as far as like Mania goes, right? Like, you've already gone through and been to all the biggest stadiums, so now you're just kind of re-going around.
Yes.
You always want to do New York, which I'm totally fine with, obviously, because
We're biased.
Exactly.
But do a Mania from Wembley, especially the new Wembley. Like, it's awesome.
Saying. You have all these giant arenas around. If you're going to be the world wrestling entertainment,
then now forever.
why do you constantly keep it American wrestling entertainment? Like, you have the huge bases, especially, I mean, I don't want to say like go in like India or whatever, but it's like, there's huge fan bases all over the place. And it's like, they're really, I guess it's production. It's got to be something, because it makes
there has to be some
It
reason.
doesn't really make sense to me why they wouldn't do it just.
Yeah, there's got to be
place.
something we don't know, that it seems too straightforward and too easy. Like the magnitude of it would be cool.
Scared or something, like, not anymore. Not with like
No.
the not pay-per-view thing. It has to be like on a production value, just getting everything over there in order to promoting something.
Yeah, but they're doing it for Super Showdown.
But for me, you just do the tour. Like, if you're gonna do like that's what they do right after Mania, right? They go on the European tour. Like, that's what they always do. So it's like, okay, so instead have Mania over in Europe and then just complete the tour, or do the tour beforehand, so everyone's over there and acclimated to the timing, and all your production's over there. You can smooth everything out. You have time to like build the sets and everything, do like a 2-3 week run over there, and then do Mania. Like, I don't know why that's.
And if you can do a glorified house show at Super Showdown, like they're still putting it on the network, it's going to have the network quality. Why can't you just do that as a pay-per-view? Like, what else if we watch Super Showdown, what are we missing? What are we not getting that we would get in a pay-per-view from a production standpoint? I don't think anything. And the gate would be.
I don't know. Like, to me, I don't. If Mania is in Santa Clara, or if Mania is in Bangkok, I don't know. It doesn't really. If I'm not like at it physically, it means no difference to me.
Speaking of gates, did you see Neville made his wrestling return?
Oh, because the Dragon Gate is already.
Yep. He came back as Pac. I'm super pumped.
I didn't, and I don't know. Were people surprised by this? Were they waiting for like the New Japan run, or
he's been off the grid?
He's been off the grid because he had a no compete, right?
Yes, and then his no compete's been up. The big thing, everybody thought he was going to be at All In. He wasn't.
Wasn't?
No, he was not. He was not. Osprey issued him a challenge for Wrestle Kingdom.
Specifically? Just randomly?
Yes, he wanted to fight him at Wrestle Kingdom.
Just like randomly, or?
What do you mean randomly?
Or just calling him out because he's just sitting on the sidelines, like
Yeah, because
that's
he
what I'm saying by
wanted.
randomly.
He was more like, hey, I want to have like a match with Neville.
Oh, I
Give
got
me
you.
a match with Neville, like this and that, or with Pac. Didn't get anything, and then all the rumors and everything with him not being on the grid, and then Takahashi, who was the IWGP Junior Champ in New Japan, broke his neck in San Francisco, still out. They're having matches for that title, so there's like definitely like a possibility of like it's still with him there. Like he started in Dragon Gate and then went to New Japan. I don't know the contract situation if he's booked for however long, but I could very easily see him doing like Dragon Gate for October and November and getting back into it and getting his feet wet, and then whoever is the champ at the end of Wrestle Kingdom, like doing their speech with the IWGP belt or whatever, or getting the belt, and Neville just coming out and beating the shit out of him. Like, it was just super cool to see him back because he hadn't. There have been all these things of like, oh, is he gonna come back here? Oh, is he gonna do this? Especially with what happened this past weekend. There's been like,
wait, what's his look? The beard thing still?
Yeah, same thing. He still looks like bad guy cruiserweight.
Okay.
There was the Ring of Honor pay-per-view over the weekend. New Japan had another thing where Cody won the IW. Oh, we gotta talk about that. So there was some New Japan stuff, Ring of Honor stuff. There's things going into motion for, like, there's all these possibilities of like, oh, is he gonna do this? Oh, is he gonna do that? And then he showed up at Dragon Gate, and that was awesome. And then speaking of, you saw Cody won the IWGP US title.
Yeah, I did. I definitely saw that.
Did
on
you
Instagram
see?
Hard.
I retweeted some things up on the old Twitter.
Wow.
Did you see? I'm assuming
You're old.
I am old. Well, you say the Twitter. I only say it because of you. I think it's super funny to say the Twitter. That's something like a 70-year-old to say. Like, are you guys on the Twitter?
No, it's because I used to call. I'm not
Facebook.
like on Facebook or whatever. But I just used to call it the book when it first came out.
Oh, okay.
So,
but that means that's fun to say.
I just kept going, I guess.
Did you? It's like when people, instead of saying Target, they say Target.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, fun stuff. The promo that Cody cut on after was awesome. Talked about how the IWGP US title, like, New Japan wants it to have lineage and credibility, and that Juice Robinson, people talked about how good he was and that he was in NXT and that he was one of Dusty's kids. And then Cody, like, got real, like, emotional with it and was just like, well, I'm actually Dusty's goddamn kid. And, just went into cut a real good promo. I really wish his in-ring work matched his promo work.
A little bit better, right? A little bit better.
Yes. Like, he's not bad in the ring. But his promo work and his character work is so good that it just overshadows his in-ring work, which isn't bad.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
But New Japan's been cranking on all cylinders.
Honestly, you wouldn't say anything to the.
Stop in all things. Stop
like
trying to paint.
Like the Buffalo Bills.
Stop trying to paint.
You never say a bad word about it.
That's not true at all. Stop trying to paint this narrative that I am not objective even when it comes to my favorite teams and favorite things. And I'm super objective when it comes to the Bills, and I'm very objective when it comes to, if anything, I'm pessimistic about the Bills.
Well, I'm just saying, you would never say anybody in WWE had a good match, and you would never say anybody in New Japan had like a bad match.
First of all, not true. I would definitely say New Japan, matches can be bad at times. And I have said that there are good WWE matches. I also just think that the best. No, I talked about how good the tag match was at the last pay-per-view with Rollins and Ambrose versus Ziggler and McIntyre. I thought that was a really good match. My thing is,
for WWE.
That's what I'm going to say. And I don't mean that to be backhanded compliment, which I guess
it is a backhanded compliment.
A good WWE match to me is not as good as a good New Japan match. It's a different scale to me. It's a different thing.
Then why is the New Japan like why is the New Japan in your like world like the bar, I suppose? Like why are they
the Sheamus
and
Cesaro?
It was good for New Japan match. That's what I'm gonna start saying to you.
Well,
it was good for New Japan match.
New Japan, in my opinion, the whole thing with wrestling, you have to do one of two things. Like, we all know it's scripted. So you either need to be able to suspend that disbelief for me, or be so impressive with like the wrestling and the sport of it that I'm just impressed and wowed like by what you're doing. And that's what New Japan does to me. When they are in the ring, for me, wrestling, I always think back to the Shane Douglas promo when he dropped the NWA title and ECW was formed. And he does the whole, like, he says, the sport, and he emphasizes sport, and he says the sport of pro wrestling. And I think wrestlers don't get their due in terms of the punishment their body goes through, the talent that they have, the work that they put in, everything. And when I watch New Japan, I feel like I'm watching a sport. And even though I know it's scripted, they do things that sometimes I'm watching a match and I'm not thinking that like this is scripted. Like I'm just watching the match wondering who's going to win. Their pacing, the back and forth, the style, the stiffness of it, the training that it takes to be able to either come from the dojo or survive like the New Japan matches. And then even if you still know it's like scripted, the athleticism that they have in the ring, like the things that they're able to do. And it's just, that's why I watch WWE. And at all times I watch it, I can either call what's going to happen next or I know it's scripted. Like, it's always in my face. I'm like, oh, it's scripted. When I watch New Japan, sometimes I don't realize it's scripted and they can suspend that disbelief for me. Or even when I know something is about to happen, it's still so impressive that I don't care. Almost in the same way, like I don't.
Are you like too much of a fanboy for it a little bit though? Like,
no, because I don't.
Do you think you can like
everything.
disassociate from it a little bit and be like, that was bad. This is good. This is like okay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not going into every match and being like, oh my god, like this was this, and I'm not poring over all 3 or 4 hours of every pay-per-view. Like especially in the beginning when they have like the 5-man and 8-man tags or the 10-man and 8-man tags and things like that. I just for me, I just know it doesn't. The in-ring aspect, actually everything in general, I just think New Japan does it right. I think they're booking everything. I just think it's better. Even to the point where I hate Superman booking for things like that. I don't like how Reigns is booked. I don't like how Cena's booked or was booked. I don't like Superman, the comic book character. I love Dragon Ball Z, but I hate Goku because he always wins. Tanahashi wins all the time, and I have yet to be like upset by it. I mean, would I rather have certain guys beat him? Yeah, but he's just so good, and they book him in a certain way that I'm still like, oh my god, he might actually lose. Whereas with Reigns, I'm like, stop trying to make me think he's the underdog. I know he's going to win. Like, I just think they do everything better.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed that on the one, but you didn't care that like Okada had the belt that long?
No, because
of his Kenny matches?
Because every match was good. He had a good match with Fale, like, he just puts on really good matches. And what I like that New Japan does, especially in Okada matches and especially in the Okada Kenny matches, I'm very analytical with a lot of crap and detail oriented, which is a pain in the ass at times for me. But they in their matches, like they'll do things that's like a callback to a prior match. And that's why the Kenny and Okada matches are so good, because there's callbacks to the first match and the second match. And even their 2 out of 3 falls, like the match wasn't the same. Like each fall was basically like a different match, and it told a different story in addition to like the athleticism that they did with it. I just think like to me New Japan is, I know it's scripted, but to me New Japan is more like a sport than it is like a wrestling company. Whereas WWE, I know it's a production, and I'm basically, if I'm watching WWE, I'm basically, not that it makes it bad, but I know I'm basically watching like a Broadway play with some action. I'm basically watching a TV show where the main characters don't have stunt doubles. They do their own work, which is still cool. But I know with New Japan,
but the fact that you have that attitude going into it, don't you like skew everything you like then see from the rest, from the jump?
From WWE?
Yeah.
No, because I know what I'm getting. And if I get something that sucks, I'm like, well, it's WWE. And if I get something that's good, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like,
wouldn't it be really hard for something to be like super good on your level then?
No, because I know they have it in them. I know they just don't. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if at Super Showdown, AJ and Joe put on like one of the best matches across any company for the entire year. Will they? Probably not. It's the same thing we did talking into Mania. Like, Shinsuke and AJ could have the match of the year. but they're not going to let them based on the WWE style. Like, it's just not going to happen. I don't think
Well,
it
as
can.
as I will argue in this, it's because of timing. Really, it's because they're only going to get. It's because Taker and Triple H are going to get like 30 minutes or whatever, like 25 minutes or whatever they're going to do. And I just kind of know it's going to be like, that's what I think, at least, like a slow plotting
But
25
see, that's
minutes
what I'm
or something.
saying. Like, there's
And so, like,
so many other things at work.
AJ and Joe might only get like 15 minutes. And it's like, well, okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's so many other things at play. Like, that WWE style is more encompassing than just that one match or the pacing of that one match.
Here's another thing that's a little.
But it doesn't stop me from being objective.
Here's a little thing that's off. Why, in the era now of the network, why do we have to time the matches? Like, why? I understand that's how it's always been done.
Like, they're not about to get kicked off the air at 11.
Which is the most horrible reason for anything.
When someone's like, well, this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, that's the immediate time you know that it's wrong, and there's probably like 19 better ways.
Correct. You're like,
I'm an accountant for my job, and like,
yes, you are. Spreadsheets. # spreadsheets.
That's right. And it's just, I work with like a lot of older people.
Well, we've always used the abacus.
When the computers basically didn't exist and stuff. So it's like they would rather do stuff by hand, And it's just like,
stop using that
what?
Computer. Pull out your abacus, Alex.
It's just wild. So, but it's just like, why bother timing it? Like, just ask the talent then. It's like, because like, I understand if you're like ROH, you have the building for this, there's a curfew, like on this, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that's the case where they're running buildings. Maybe there's like a curfew or blah, 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 or the event's only supposed to be, well, you have to put the timing on the ticket or something. I don't know what it is or something like that. But really, like, if it's for the network and that's the main reason for the timing is to make sure, it's all because of like TV and stuff like that. And that, pay-per-view wise, I'm saying specifically, like now that's not the deal. So if like everyone wants 15 minutes or if everyone wants 20 minutes, why can't everyone have the correct time? Why is anybody short?
Vince is very stuck in his ways.
I think it would take a person who's almost never timed a show, because like timing and stuff like that for shows is like super important. Like when you're, because that's all, I don't want to say that's all, but like that's the main thing that people in Gorilla are doing. You even saw that at All In, right? Because Cody had to cut that match short because the Marty and Okada match went long or whatever it was. And so then Cody got all pissed off.
Which now there's reports coming out that like it didn't go long. Like there was just there's a whole bunch of. But even that whole thing is a good example. Either way,
that's fine. That one makes sense because you have the building. It's their first thing they've ever done. It's like, that makes more sense to me than anything than WWE wise. It would take someone like a young person who's never, like, a complete kind of like outsider, not these Hollywood writers that they bring in.
Wouldn't people get burned out? Like if you were watching like an 8 or 12 or 10 match pay-per-view and each match was 20 minutes long, like that's a lot of invested time. Like I'm even saying from my perspective, if you gave me like the best New Japan matches of the year and put them all like on one card and they were each like 20 to 30 minutes long, it's probably going to be amazing, but I don't know if I'm sitting through it in one session, and I don't know if I get burned out.
Then maybe just I need to understand what the timing of it is, like more so, because it's like there should be no one in like WrestleMania that's getting cut for time anymore. That should not be like a thing.
Well, they don't really do it for the big pay-per-views now. Like SummerSlam can run over, WrestleMania. Well,
No, they run over, but they've also added matches. So clearly people get cut for time still.
That's true. Well, Vince is also very set, and maybe it's not even a negative because from a production or a crowd standpoint or an engagement standpoint, like Vince is going to know that behavior better than we do. So maybe there's something to it that we don't know. But I think also it might be he's also very stuck in his ways. Like Vince is very
goddamn break. Why can't we have like a? Why can't we just have like
a New Japan intermission, like what they do in New Japan?
I know they do that at fucking house shows. I mean, they used to, at least when I went to house shows. They take breaks. Like,
well, maybe Vince doesn't want. I mean, he's very Vince is
Oh,
very
I
stuck
know.
in his ways.
Well, it's the structure, right? It's the formula, as it would. Like, it's hard. I'm obviously if something's worked for a very long time in your life, and you're like a structured person, and it's like,
And it's made you
well,
a
it's this
gajillion
and then this
dollars.
and then this. You know what I'm saying? It's like
A, then B, then C.
I wake up in the morning, I eat a steak, and that led me to this life. Well, then you're probably gonna wake up every morning and eat a steak or something like that.
I
You know,
eat
it's
steaks
like
every morning.
I get it. Like I get it, but that's why it's and I'm sure he thinks he's being like subservient to what people and what the audience wants based on what he hears and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's like this other growing kind of thing, or like there's just so many other ideas and ways to go that I feel like, and I'm sure maybe Triple H has his like, has his finger on it a little bit more, but I just feel like, dude, you have the network, you have your own thing. Then if that's the reason, if it's from production wise or like people are gonna get tired or whatever, then I don't know, split it up, have a break or whatever. It's just like no one should get cut for time. If it's an arena thing, I don't know, build your own arena. Why can't you have your own annex of arena on the performance center and then you run a WrestleMania in there, like out of like Orlando, and that becomes like your thing. And then you could lease it out and rent other things and do other things like with it in the other downtime. Because Sun Life Stadium in Orlando is a piece of trash. They just they put makeup on that thing so they could have WrestleManias there, but it's not a good stadium. They probably need a good stadium in Orlando. So
I
whatever,
think it might be from like maybe a quality standpoint. Like I don't think Vince wants, like if he's got Roman Reigns in the main event, I don't think he wants anything taking away from that, whether it's a really good performance on the undercard or it's long matches or anything that would like. I don't think he wants anything to potentially
Shane versus The Undertaker like 44 minutes or whatever?
Because that's his friggin' kid. That doesn't count.
Okay, dude, 44 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's 38 or 40. No, that was.
It's his kid and The Undertaker.
Everyone knows that's excessive. Something had to be going on there. There's no way they said, okay, you have 45 minutes.
No, but maybe they just said, do what you want. Like, you're my son, and then here's The Undertaker, so I don't care. Whatever you guys want to do what you want.
I just think that's absurd.
I think I agree.
I understand
that example.
I guess it was like pacing more so than anything. Like,
we also have an inexperienced wrestler, like in Shane. He's wrestled.
I think they're used to getting up really slowly, looking at the hard cam, like doing that stuff. Taker's just slow in general now. Like,
God, he is.
Maybe it was just because of that, I guess. But that was like absurd to me. I was like, what? And I mean, it's right. If everyone at Mania had the timing they would want, then it would go to like 2 or 3 a.m. and I would just pass out at the bar or whatever.
Yeah,
but
die.
I mean, I get it. But like, if it's in the if we're going back to the original point, if it's like, oh, this is AJ versus Joe or AJ versus Shinsuke, okay, whatever timing you want. Like, it's not goddamn.
Do you think there's a
Orton
chance?
Versus Sheamus?
No,
for the 90th.
But do you think there's a chance? Like, I'm also thinking from another angle. Like, okay, if we let certain guys like that have the time they want, they might put on the match of the night, and then are people going to shit on my main event? Or are people going to be burned out from my main event? And I think that might also be...
People might be burned out. People are going to shit on your main event regardless at this point.
Yeah, but he's trying to do things that can limit that. So maybe he's like, listen, they're already gonna boo Reigns, let alone if AJ and Joe tear the house down and have like a really good match, everybody's gonna boo like crazy. I mean, that's why he made those audible calls at those other pay-per-views with Reigns, because he was afraid the go-home moment was gonna be too severe. So maybe he thinks like, oh,
that's fine. Okay, put AJ and Joe's the 5th match and have an intermission after their match.
Maybe he thinks it's not good enough. Maybe he doesn't. He also maybe doesn't believe in intermissions, like in pay-per-views and stuff like that. Like, that's not...
I mean, I know he doesn't, but doesn't that make sense? Like, okay, like...
No, I would do it.
Everyone could get time to cool down, and then you can ramp it back up again. And it's like, they still remember the match, but it's not like... I don't know, it's not as like, bing, bang, boom, boom, bang.
No, I agree. As a person who watches New Japan and who's...
I mean, that's what they used to do at house shows. Awesome. Hogan main evented every half show. That's mainly because he was doing 2 shows a night, and they would like fly him to another pay-per-view where he'd main event the other half of the house show. On some occasions, which is like wild, but
that's why his hips are friggin' shot, because he was doing like 2 leg drops a night for like 30 years.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that like some move, like I always thought the leg drop sucked. I just thought it was a stupid finisher. But something that is like, to the eye, very simple and low impact, like destroyed his like body, like his pelvis and his hips and his knee, like
Yeah,
a
but
shot.
have you ever done that? Like that bump
a
on
leg
like
drop?
the ground?
No, yeah, well that sucks. It's hard.
It
It hurts.
fucking sucks.
But it's just crazy that that move is so simple and like the Styles Clash looks so much. Well, it's more complicated and looks so much more dangerous, but it's probably less
well, because
impact
it
than that
is
leg drop.
more dangerous.
Yeah, if you don't hold your head back. But that move is probably like less long-term damaging and less impact on the body than Hulk Hogan's leg drop.
Yeah, because that's just falling forward, which is a natural thing. Like
Instead of running, stopping.
everyone learns to like put your hands out when you fall forward, kind of thing. It's not like that's like completely like fine to me. That's like a good finisher, but like easy. I mean, just easy over time.
It's crazy, yeah.
But the leg drop on the, it's not. It's like
that hurts.
It's really everything. I mean, it's like. I mean, I've done it on like a few different surfaces. I did it on like I did it on like concrete one time.
You've given a lot of leg drops?
I mean, I've given a few here and there.
Okay.
But that's the thing too, is the same thing with the stunner. Okay, so I've given a couple of those.
Yeah.
And those suck, okay? Because
on your ass.
It just jars your whole goddamn spine, like that thing. It's like that sucks, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. That freaking hurts. It's just crazy that those moves that are so simple, can do so. And that's, again, another thing that I point to in, like, wrestling that I think is undervalued. I think it gets, like, knocked as, like, hokey or, like, stupid or whatever. But I don't think people, and maybe this doesn't make it not those things, but the sacrificing that these people do, like the schedule they work and the things that their bodies go through and what they put themselves through in order to do what they do, I just think is super underappreciated. And I think the style that WWE does and the way they do it makes it go unappreciated because it makes it corny and makes it hokey and gives less respect to the performer.
Well, I mean, I get it in the aspect of like, it's funny because just because the moves aren't like tight, if you know what I mean, like things are a little loose, you might like be like, oh, like whatever, it's not snug or whatever.
Yes,
it still sucks.
That's a very good point. It's very like loose, and you're like, oh.
It is loose, right? Like let's say an AA is like a loose finisher to me. It's not like
correct 100%.
He doesn't snap it off or anything like that. It's kind of like a nice easy arc or whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
like,
100%. It's very like, here you're gonna go here, and I'm gonna lay you here.
Exactly. Things aren't like snug and whoa, like
Well,
really
same thing with
the
Cena's STFU. He's basically just like putting his forearms on your ears.
Yeah,
like, there's no like pull to it. There's no bend. There's nothing like ooh.
Yeah, but some of those moves, I don't care if it's like an AA. I mean, well, I guess for not for him because he just lands on his knees a little bit, but
the bump taker
on that, it's like whatever. I mean, they always like you only have a certain number of bumps in you. Kind of, I'd rather take a back bump than a goddamn that butt thing. Well,
what about
leg drop in the other one?
Would you rather give a leg drop, give a stunner, or a tombstone?
Oh, like every night?
Yeah.
Well, only if I physically am able to give a tombstone to everybody would I want to do a tombstone.
Yeah, but then you're going straight down on your knees.
I'm okay with that. I'd rather see. Okay, I think like. I guess I would rather have like Taker's health if I ever went. It's hard because Austin's good, but Austin didn't have as many years as the other two.
Yeah, but that was mainly because of his neck injury.
That was mainly correct. So I'm fine going with like Taker's like route. I mean, you got knee pads on because he always wore long pants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dangerous move, but he does it well. Like, and he used to snap it off like back in the day.
He did. Same thing with Kane. Kane was basically a tombstone power bomb. He would just like drive you down.
But I don't know. I just think that one's a little easier to me. I just don't know if you can. It's like once they're on you, then it's fine. It's just about like dropping down to your knees, basically. I wouldn't mind the knees as much. The butt is just like I wouldn't mind the knees.
Your whole body.
Yeah, unless I had some butt pads on or something weird like that.
Maybe you do.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't want any part of that. I mean, it's crazy the leg drop. Like what?
Yeah, Hogan's lower body is destroyed from that friggin' move.
Yeah, it's like even in WCW, it's just like he didn't like walk like a normal person. Like I don't know.
No, and I definitely am not a fan of Hogan, but it's crazy that man. Yeah, that's something so simple. I really, but I mean, you got to think like I wonder how many. Well, we could probably trace it at some point. I wonder how many leg drops Hogan has delivered. Is he hitting 1 million?
No.
500,000?
I don't think you understand how much 1 million is.
500,000?
I would probably guess that.
I didn't think he was actually hitting 1 million, but thank you for picking up on my sarcasm.
Okay, no problem. I guess I'd be surprised if it was 6 figures.
Okay. So if he'd wrestled once a night, we'll just play like words like to make it the least number possible, right? So say he wrestled 300 times a year, right?
Oh, don't do the math.
Times 25 years is 7,500.
Exactly.
Yeah, so maybe he's pushing like 20,000 leg drops, 15,000.
Something like that, yeah.
So 2 billion leg drops.
Too many.
1,000 too many.
Exactly.
Superstar Showdown might be good. I'm probably not gonna. No, it's probably not. Plus baseball playoffs, NBA stuff.
I mean, I'm excited for AJ and Joe. I want to see where that goes. But really, the thing about it is we know it's an exhibition, so not much should happen. Really, they might just like throw something in there, like Joe winning, just to like bring attention to it. Maybe as like an after effect to get streams.
Right.
But for the most part, it's just fluff. So if, I'm not trying to view it as like in a pay-per-view kind of style. I don't think like AJ and Joe to me, like AJ and Joe shouldn't like go make this a match of the year kind of thing, or Becky and Charlotte shouldn't try to go for that. It should just be a continuation, and it just keeps like going on. They can add something to the story, but I don't want it to be a major cog, I guess, or major piece.
Right, I agree. I don't think it probably will be either. I mean, a
lot of it's fluff. I mean, you could tell a lot of it's fluff when they do a ton of tag teams and just try to get as many people on the card as possible.
I'm probably gonna watch it not live, like after. I mean, there's some good college football games this weekend, baseball playoffs, hockey regular season starts this week, so there's going to be something on. I'll probably get to it after. That's just because I don't have a ton of faith.
Friends? Oh.
I watch these things with friends. But yeah, I don't have a ton of faith that it's going to be great. Mainly because it's WWE.
Oh,
but,
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. But no, mainly to your point, I just think it's going to be like a house show. So maybe there's something big that happens, or maybe something goes one way or the other. But it's just a regular thing. It's just in Australia.
I guess I watched that. I think I watched that one they did in Japan for a network special live
when Balor beat Owens.
Yes,
and Brock fought.
And then, but I didn't watch the MSG one live. When they did that one.
That was on TV? That was on the network?
That was on the network. The MSG house show with Brock like 2 years ago, maybe?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
3 years ago, something like that. I didn't watch that one live. But I don't know. They're fine. I mean, they're interesting. That's the thing. It's like, they still are interesting. It's like, why aren't you doing it more? Like, everyone was like, why aren't you doing this more? Like, you have your own network. You have like content, whatever, to fill. And I don't know what you're doing. You're making cartoons, or you're doing like.
I saw some stats they've had, like the network.
My tattoos or whatever.
The network now has like 6 times more content than it did at a certain, like some point, like a couple years ago, or when first like loaded. They have a ton of. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole.
Well, they have the crazy backlog of stuff.
That's what I watch. Like, I'm going to watch like In Your House 95, and I want to see like stuff like that. Like, that's what I do.
You know what really is like the best stuff on there when I first started watching was all the roundtables.
Those are the best, but now they've started adding, like, not to be disrespectful, but like I don't want to see a round table with like Nia Jax. She hasn't earned my thing yet. But yeah,
No, wait. Are we talking about the same thing? The old ones where like Jim Ross used to host them?
Oh no, I'm thinking like they do like
No, not table for three.
Oh, I'm thinking of like those. Well, in those things in general, like any of those things now. Now they're just throwing like.
No. Go back and watch this thing. It's called the Round Table. Jim Ross hosts, and it's a rotating cast. It's usually Dusty, and a bunch of old timers usually, and it's awesome. It's just awesome to hear about. They talk about older stuff, obviously, because it was they made this in like 98. I don't even know when they made this, like the early 2000s, maybe something in this realm.
Oh, that'd be cool then.
And it was my favorite thing, and probably still is like my favorite thing on the network to like watch. There's just like older topics. They show like really old. They'd be like, oh, Dusty's career or look back kind of thing, and they're like old videos of turning points in his career and old matches and blah blah blah. And it's like that's the stuff I like. I'm just like older, but I don't care as much about, my car ride from Newark to Philly, like, or whatever that thing is. Like,
it's not organic enough. Like, even if it's two people I like, it's just too.
Yeah, that one's the brutal one. And the table for threes are fine sometimes, but sometimes it's like
they were cool at first because it was like, oh,
now it's like too many.
Yes, and there's like, it's like
some of the banter is like awful.
The banter's weird, and the
are you having the chicken? Like, I don't know. It's like
I'll have what he's having. There's one, I forget who it is, but it's like people who should not have been together. It was like,
is there like a table for three like spoof kind of thing where it's like,
oh, that'd be funny as hell.
Like just like eating like, I really enjoyed your career.
You're
like nobody knows each other.
No,
like,
that's how there was. I forget who it was, but Nia was in it. It's like Nia and like Alundra Blaze, and it's something that you're like, why is Nia in there? Who is she with? Because when they first came out, it was like Sting and Vader, and it was like dudes who wrestled together and who were, granted, they were like vets or old timers, or it was people who had a connection, or it was like, hey, let's do a table for three with like Arn Anderson and Ric Flair and Mongo, or like something.
You're just saying
like,
they're running out of combos.
Yes, so they're just like, all right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do table for three with like Fabulous Moolah, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Rey Mysterio, and it's like, what? Like, they don't have any connection. Why are they together?
I really enjoyed your career.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, and Moolah has no idea what's going on, and Bubba and Ray are just like sitting there awkwardly. That's how I feel like they. But again, WWE, what they get something that worked, and it's like, all right, cool, let's beat everybody over the head with it. We need more table for threes. Yeah, camera guy, you want to be on this here? Get in there with Sasha Banks.
Is the story time still good?
I've never seen story time.
Oh, story time is pretty good.
I've never seen story time.
Story time is like animated one-off. It's like a story, right? But they animate it, and it's like R-rated kind of thing. So
yes,
it's kind of like, it's like when they're telling, the boys are telling stories kind of thing. So it's kind of more.
No, I know what it is. I just haven't seen it.
Okay, so
which I should, because I like their.
I don't know how many seasons it's on now, but I remember watching the first one. I was like, oh, this is kind of funny.
Their animation production is good. That I've never seen that or Camp WWE, but like the animation production is like very good.
They might WWE Studios might as well try to make like animated stuff rather than all the horror whatever movies they're trying to put out. Like do an animated movie, because like I like their animation. Yeah,
they definitely do a good job. It looks crisp. It looks clean.
I don't watch the camp show. I missed out. So I missed out on so many shows. I haven't watched like all the 24s or whatever. I do like those, but obviously it takes a long time for them to do them because they're like over a year or over whatever. So it's like, oh, we like those. Okay, I guess we'll have some more out in like next year.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, we'll put some out.
Oh, okay. I gotta start filming Kevin Owens now. Like,
oh my god.
Oh, you like this? Oh, okay.
And see, that's the thing. Like, they get like, hey, let's do like a behind the scenes with this guy. And then it's like, oh, that was successful. Cool. Let's give you a behind the scenes with 17 other wrestlers. It's like, no, that's not. They just oversaturate with, well, that's how they do. Vince sees something and is like, oh, that's gold. Capitalize on it.
That's how they do.
Ugh. Super Showdown might not be terrible, but yeah, I'm not. But again, that's probably the pessimist in me, or however you want to label me, the New Japan fan. I'm objective. I hate that you try to paint me as not being objective.
Okay. Pump the brakes.
The brakes are pumped, man. I'm chilling.
Whoa.
Just sitting here, ready for the big dog to do his thing.
All right.
As his life.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for it too. We'll see how it turns out. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you like what you heard, leave us a review on iTunes. The link for iTunes is actually in the show notes. Follow us at AA Talk Stuff on Instagram and on Twitter.
Twitter.
Anthony's up on the Twitter. I do the Instagram. And thanks for listening so much. And we'll see you again next week.